Hello to everyone in the STS session. Our team is still having some instrument issues, but I'm going to make it such that each of you is able to unmute and ask questions since we're a small group here. And what I'm displaying is the region of the sky that we are targeting today, the Next Generation Virgo Cluster Survey. I'm going to navigate this region a little. We can certainly get rid of some of these grids. We're looking at one of these very diffuse galaxies right now on your screen, and that's the class of galaxies we're going after with Keck today. Class of galaxies called ultra-diffuse galaxies. I'll put this in the chat. You can actually see two of them in this picture. One, that's the bigger one, and then another really diffuse galaxy down here where my cursor is. You see another very diffuse galaxy down here, up in the upper left. This big halo is scattered light from this bright star. Yeah, Sanvi, thank you for joining. You haven't missed much, but feel free to unmute and ask a question.
Thank you, sir. Yet I don't have any question. I did submit a question, I remember, and I needed to understand what exactly is dark matter. I mean, I'm really interested in galaxies and astronomy. So, yeah.
And Sanvi, please tell me where you're connecting from.
So I'm on my laptop. Is the voice audible, I suppose?
You are. Are you connecting from, which country are you connected from?
Oh, India.
I see. And which school do you attend?
Manthan International School. It's in Hyderabad, Telangana.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, excellent. So the class of galaxies we are studying today, ultra-diffuse galaxies, do indeed contain dark matter. So what I'm going to do is share a paper that our team published on these galaxies and published it last year. In fact, the lead author of that paper is the lead observer tonight. So let me find her paper and let me see what's the easiest way to get to it. Give me a second. There we go. Yes, found it pretty easily. This is an old paper from 2018. Let me find a more recent paper.
Here, Dr. Gupta, can you hear me? This is Eric White calling.
Oh, hi, Eric. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm calling in from Hawaii. I'm on the island, the big island right next to the Kecks.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Were you addressing me? My name is GuhaThakurta. Sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
Dr. Gupta.
Not Gupta. Sorry, Gupta is a different last name, but let me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
Your name again?
GuhaThakurta.
Guha.
GuhaThakurta. It's a two-part last name.
GuhaThakurta. Okay.
You got it. And your question was, please?
Oh, I'm still formulating a question. I did some reading ahead of time about ultra-diffuse galaxies, but I'm still trying to gather enough information to ask something intelligently.
No problem. Let me address the question about dark matter. Not the question, but let me talk about dark matter in these galaxies. In fact, I'm displaying a title, author list, and abstract. This piece that I'm highlighting is the abstract, just a brief summary of the paper. A paper that was published last year. You can see it was published in July 2023, so a little less than a year ago. And the lead author, Elisa Toloba, is the lead observer tonight. She's joined by Sung-Soon Lim, the third author, Eric Peng, myself. But Laura Salas, she's not on the telescope last night, but she's also part of this project. So are Joel Rodiger and all the others you see listed here. But tonight, again, the telescope is being controlled by Elisa, Sung-Soon, and Eric, and myself. Yeah. So, in this paper, which is also targeting ultra-diffuse galaxies. You can see that in the title here, ultra-diffuse galaxies in the Virgo cluster. What we did was, and I'll bring up the paper in a second. What we did was we targeted star clusters in these galaxies. See if I can, these are star clusters called globular clusters, and you can see we present Keck II spectroscopy of the first complete sample of ultra-diffuse galaxies, and we select all UDGs at Virgo that contain at least 10 globular cluster candidates, and so these are galaxies that contain at least 10 of these star clusters for which we could get spectra. So let me bring up the whole paper. Let's see, full text, IOP, so I should go to this link here. And it'll bring up the July 20, see, article PDF. There we go. And you can see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Not so much, I guess. That's good. Okay. So this is what the published version of the paper looks like. It was published in the Astrophysical Journal. 951 is the volume number. 77 is the article number, I believe. Many journals have gone to open access, so you don't have to pay a subscription to access these articles. Again, you see the list of authors here. Every author has a superscript that's connected to their institution. Elisa is at the Department of Physics, University of the Pacific, which is right here in Stockton, California. Laura Salas is at UC, University of California, Riverside. Sung-Soon Lim is actually based in Korea, Seoul, Korea. You can see, so he has the number 3 next to his name, and his institution is right there. He is at Yonsei University in Korea. Eric Peng, whose institution number is number 4. He is in Tucson, Arizona, NSF's National Science Foundation's Optical IR Lab, National Optical Infrared Astronomy Research Lab, something called NOIRLab. My institution, number 5, is UC Santa Cruz, and so on. Okay. Now, the bottom line in this paper, which is actually very similar to, we're trying to extend this kind of study tonight using a different instrument, but we present Keck spectroscopy in this paper of a complete sample of ultra-diffuse galaxies that each contain at least 10 globular clusters. And we find that if you measure the velocity, the Doppler shift of each of these 10 clusters, let me see if I can show you an example. So here are the ultra-diffuse galaxies. And if I zoom in, you'll see that the red circles are the star clusters associated with the dwarf galaxy. Okay, for each dwarf galaxy, let me see if I can, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a whole bunch of globular clusters associated with them. Some of them are well outside the main body of the galaxy. So all of these galaxies are characterized by this kind of there's a very interesting set of globular clusters, all look to be in a straight line there. Let's see. So if I zoom out, you can see that these are the, how many galaxies? 3, 3, and 4. So these are the 10 galaxies, each with 10 globular clusters or more. Here's the one I was pointing out earlier when we were looking at the NGVS image. This is that ultra-diffuse galaxy. So it's very painstaking work because the galaxies are very diffuse, but we're getting velocities of these star clusters. Once we get their velocities, what we do is we, I'll come back to this diagram in a minute. But once we measure their velocities, how we measure their velocities is by measuring the Doppler shift of various absorption lines. These 3 absorption lines are produced by calcium, singly ionized calcium. This dip is produced by hydrogen alpha, H alpha. And these diagrams are sort of telling. A little difficult to understand these diagrams, so let me explain what they are. The x-axis of each diagram is the distance of each dot, by the way. Every dot here is a star cluster or a candidate star cluster associated with this ultra-diffuse galaxy. Every dot is a different star cluster for which we got a Keck spectrum. Now, the x-axis is the distance of the star cluster from the center of its putative host galaxy. You know, it's suspected host galaxy, but it's not r in kilometers or arc seconds or megaparsecs. It's r divided by the size of the galaxy. So the size of the galaxy is the radius that contains half its light. So it's delta r divided by re. And you can see that when you have a straight line like this, that means all of the star clusters have about the same y coordinate, and the y coordinate is the Doppler shift of the star cluster. So when you have a straight line like this, that means all of them are moving at the same speed relative to us. That means they're all associated with the ultra-diffuse galaxies. Now, in this first case, you can see it's a very thin line, but in most cases, it's a broader band. You can see it's a broad band here. Again, a very thin line in these 2 cases, but all the others, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 of the 10 galaxies have a significant spread in velocity. Significant spread in velocity means they're experiencing a strong gravitational field. So they're rattling around quite rapidly relative to the center of mass of the galaxy. And that is telling us how much gravity these things experience, which in turn tells us how much mass the galaxy contains. Now, of course, we can see how much light it contains. And our conclusion is most of this mass is in the form of dark matter. Now, again, feel free to stop and ask me questions. What I wanted to say over here for this diagram, this is a diagram that shows, let me focus on the 3rd panel only on the right, not the first 2, although they contain related information. So one of the, so of the 3 panels, again, I'm going to focus on the diagram on the far right. Just see a second. I'm just waiting for. Okay. All right. So this diagram on the far right, the x-axis is the size of the galaxy. It's the radius containing half of its light. Okay, because galaxies are diffuse and they don't have sharp cutoffs, so it's impossible to define a radius that contains all of its light. That would be infinite, because the light falls off slowly or falls off gradually. It doesn't. There's no sharp cutoff. So what people do is the integral is finite. The total amount of light is finite, even though it extends out to infinity. The total amount of light is finite. So you can ask at what radius is half the light contained, and that's called the effective radius, RE. And you can see that that's what's on the x-axis here. The y-axis is the luminosity of the galaxy, how much light it contains or how many stars it contains. And you can see that there's a trend. There's a gradual trend that the more stars a galaxy contains, the bigger it tends to be. You can see a slight trend from lower left to upper right. Now, this trend is not super tight. You can see there's some spread around that trend. So when you see things that are off to the left edge or off to the right edge, off to the left edge are things that are smaller than average, because remember the x-axis is size. So on the left edge, these data points that you see marked in gray that I'm circling, these are more compact than usual. These are galaxies that are more compact than other galaxies of comparable luminosity. And these things that are colored, these symbols are larger than average. That means compared to other galaxies that contain comparable numbers of stars, these galaxies are larger. So these are called ultra-diffuse galaxies. In fact, this gray sort of polygon is used to identify ultra-diffuse galaxies. Any questions about dark matter or anything else so far? Sanvi, did I start to address your question about dark matter?
Yes, sir, definitely. Everything.
Okay. So you can see that what is being done over here in this plot, figure 6, I'm showing you very technical plots. And in this section here, section 4.1, it's calculating what is called the dynamical mass. Dynamical mass is a fancy way of saying, by measuring the motion of these star clusters, you can infer how much mass needs to be there in order for these star clusters to be moving at the speed they do. And sigma is the standard deviation of velocities, and it's measured in kilometers per second. So you divide it by kilometers, because it's sigma squared, it's kilometers squared by second to the -2. So velocity dispersion multiplied by the half-light radius, or the radius containing half the light, measured in parsecs, this is related to its total mass, okay, or the mass contained within the half-light radius, m². And we know how much light this galaxy contains, so we know how many stars it contains, and we know how much mass it contains because we can measure how fast these star clusters are moving, and from that we can infer how much dark matter it contains. This is a beautiful map showing the dispersion of galaxies as a function of their luminosity or absolute magnitude. And you can see that most galaxies contain dark matter. And, so these, but the further up something is, the more dark matter rich it tends to be. And in this work are these red dots. So most ultra-diffuse galaxies, this is an exception, this one's an exception, this one's an exception. But the remaining 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, tend to be more dark matter rich than other galaxies. Then, all these other symbols that are not red, that are marked in gray, these are other types of galaxies. You can see different types of galaxies. Well, the squares are what says lit UDGs. That means ultra-diffuse galaxies that other people have published in the literature, like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And what people had published in the literature, most of them looked, about as dark matter rich as other galaxies. This one might have been a little dark matter poor compared to other galaxies. One was slightly dark matter rich, but what we are finding is that the typical ultra-diffuse galaxy contains a lot of dark matter. At least that was our finding in this paper. And again, this is a paper from just about a little less than a year ago. So in the end, of this paper, we speculate about what could be causing galaxies to become ultra-diffuse, and something about their dark matter content. So there's a couple of pages of sort of speculation. We have some extremely diffuse galaxies, some that are not so diffuse, and And let me just see if I can, let me see what our conclusions are. So taken at face value, our results contribute 2 important points to the understanding of UDGs. So first, and there must be more than one mechanism to produce such a diverse population. We conclude that it's such a diverse population that we can't invoke a single formation model. What's the second conclusion? Second, for the puzzling population consisted with the failing galaxy scenario, there's still much to be understood. Okay, so people had put forward the notion that these may be failed galaxies, that they failed to form stars with typical efficiency. That's why they're so diffuse. And we sort of, some of our findings are in contradiction with that hypothesis. Anyway, as in every paper, oh, I should point out this thing called ORCID IDs. Each of us has these sort of, because we've all been publishing for a while, we each have numbers that are associated with, ourselves. Because you can have 2 people with very similar first names, last names. So these IDs are unique identifiers. If you want to search for a person's papers, you could search for them by that ID. Many of our own team's papers are listed in this list here, in this reference list. Emily Cunningham, for example, is a former PhD student of mine from UC Santa Cruz. Elisa's own papers, there's a few of them cited here. Several papers by a group, like I say. Where is Laura's papers? Laura Ferrarese is the PI of the Next Generation Virgo Cluster Survey. There are a couple of her papers. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen for now and open it up to questions. Let's see. And you should all be able to unmute and ask a question. Let me know if you have any difficulty with that. Please put your question in the chat. Great question. Let me look through the questions in the chat. There's a whole bunch of questions. Yeah. So Darsh's question is about can you tell whether the black hole is made out of antimatter or ordinary matter? Almost everything we encounter in the universe today is made up of ordinary matter, not antimatter. So when one detects a black hole, good chance is it's made out of ordinary matter. Yeah, I don't know about the 6946 PH1. I'm not sure, sorry. Yes, so to answer your question about merging black holes, the first time such a thing was detected was back in 2015, September 2015. September 2nd, 2020 on Wednesday, 2 black holes got merged. It was the oldest black hole ever. No, it wasn't before the Big Bang. That part is wrong. It was definitely after the Big Bang that the merger took place. So the Doppler effect changes the spectrum of that we observe. So when you have a star or star cluster moving towards us or away from us, by taking a spectrum, we can measure the Doppler shift, and that's one of the things we're trying to do tonight. Okay, so again, I'm going to step away for just a second to see what my colleagues are up to. Give me a moment. Hi, Darsh, what was your question, please?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, my question is that how does Hawking radiation escape black hole?
Long explanation for that, but you have to invoke a combination of special relativity, the uncertainty principle, and general relativity. There's a lot of online explanations of how Hawking radiation works, but basically, using special relativity, E equals mc squared, you can draw energy from the vacuum and create two particles. And you might ask, how does vacuum have energy? And that has to do with the uncertainty principle. A vacuum is never a perfect vacuum under the uncertainty principle. And if one of those particles gets trapped by the black hole, the other one can escape. And that's the essence of Hawking radiation.
Thank you, sir. And I have another question that could jets from our galaxy black hole cause an extinction event?
Unlikely. Our black hole at the center of our galaxy is not very active right now. And you mean extinction event here on Earth?
No, extinction of our galaxy,
Oh,
Milky Way.
no. So in general, I don't know what you mean by extinction of the Milky Way, but in general, jets from active galaxies can quench star formation rather than cause extinction. Hey, Eric. Hey, Eric. You should be able
Hey
to
there.
unmute. How are you?
Yep.
Hey.
Dash was just asking a question whether jets caused by black holes, or a jet from the black hole at the center of our galaxy could cause, you said extinction. It can't, I don't know what you mean by extinction exactly, but in general, jets powered by massive black holes at the centers of galaxies can drive out material from galaxies, can drive out the raw material for star formation, and they can cause galaxies to stop forming stars. And Eric, before you joined, and Elisa, before you joined, we did a couple of things. I went over the NGVS images of the Virgo cluster, showed some examples of ultra-diffuse galaxies, and then actually was going over Elisa's 2023 paper, where she measured, this is this complete sample of UDGs with at least 10 globular clusters per UDG, our Keck II result that, showed that most, if not, 7 of the 10 UDGs seem to be quite dark matter dominated in our sample. Right, Elisa, did I get that right? 7 of the 10?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And 2 of them looked like they were consistent with the main trend line of galaxies. I'm talking about the, I guess you have luminosity. Which figure was I talking about? The one where you have luminosity on the x-axis and dynamical mass on the y-axis. And one seemed to be low, the main trend line. 2 of them were on the trend line, but the other 7 were above. So people get to, oh, there's Sangsoon. Okay. So your names were on the paper. So we were talking about Eric, you, Elisa, you, and Sangsoon. We were talking about your work a little while earlier.
Right.
And
Well,
I pointed out, hey, Sangsoon. In fact, if you want to take a moment to introduce yourselves, please do, because I pointed out where each of your institutions were, looking at the affiliation on the paper.
yeah, well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Eric Peng, and as you can see from my background here, I'm at NSF's NOIRLab, which is the National Optical Infrared Research Laboratory for Astronomy, basically the National Observatory. And yeah, I'm one of the observers on today's program.
So you're next.
Who's next? Elisa, you're next?
I'm
Elisa's
next.
next.
Okay. So, hi, I'm Elisa Toloba. I am a professor in the Department of Physics and Astronomy at University of the Pacific in California, in Stockton, California.
Sung-Soon, you're next.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Song-Soon Lim. I'm a research professor at Yonsei University in Korea. I'm one of the observers of this run.
I also mentioned Laura Sales, who was on the paper, of course, that she's involved in this project, but she's not observing tonight. Eric, what's the fancy blue thing at the top of your background?
I don't know. I mean, the people at NOIRLab who design our materials, or the community engagement people, put this together.
I see.
Actually, if you on the NOIRLab Zoom, this is a default choice for
Oh, I see.
for the background.
I see.
Since I'm on a different computer, it's the only one I had. But I think this is supposed to be Gemini behind me, Gemini north and south.
Oh, I see. I see. Wow.
Mhm.
The arc of the Milky Way
In
across
the Milky
them.
Way, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And apologies that I'm eating something, but one thing about observing is that you end up having the night lunch. So I'm
Night
starting
lunch.
remember when you go to the telescope, you get a night lunch. Well, when you're observing from home, like you can have night lunch anytime. So
Maybe we should go around the room and ask people where they're from, because a little while earlier, there was someone who was connected from a school in India, Sanvi. She's not on the call right now. But maybe we can go around and because it's a small group. So Darsh, would you like to tell us where you're connected from and what stage of your academic journey you're at?
Yes, sir. I'm from India, Gujarat, and I'm in 9th standard right now, currently studying in Bright Day School.
I see. So 9th standard is the same as 9th grade. Okay. Thank you, Darsh. Rob, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment.
I'm from India.
Oh.
I'm in 10th grade studying in Manthan International School in
I see.
Hyderabad.
Okay, so same as Sanvi. She is also from that school.
Yeah.
Rob, would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. I work at UCLA. I'm just an amateur astronomer, though I don't work in the astronomy department there at UCLA, but
you got connected to Shadow through Griffith Observatory,
through
right?
Griffith Observatory, yes. I saw one of their all space considereds, and I've been watching ever since.
Yeah, you've been a faithful participant in STS, and thank you, Rob. Okay, and Eric, you said you were connected from Hawaii. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, I'm Eric White. I'm out here in Kailua Kona, about 90 miles away from the Keck. And I'm an old man that just likes to learn more about everything. And I'm basically an amateur astronomer. So
I see. Fantastic.
So tell us
Thanks.
more about the weather, please. You can go and look through the
We've been
window.
having, believe it or not, we've been having some quite afternoon rains quite often now. And but when you're up 13,500 feet at the Kecks, they're above a lot of that. So there's some good viewing most of the time.
Yeah, well, not tonight, not great tonight.
Not tonight,
too bad.
no.
But
I know
there are clouds.
they talked about some high level clouds, so they're probably at 25,000 feet. So they might be clouded in.
Thanks, Eric. Andrew, but there are two Andrews. If you wouldn't mind taking turns to introduce yourself, please do. How about Andrew Boyd first? but the other Andrew.
I
yeah,
can go.
Yes,
Hey,
please.
I'm Andrew Reha. I actually live in Hawaii as well. I'm on the other side of the big island over near Hilo. And I moved out here 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm a very amateur astronomer, and I've gotten into astrophotography. So I try and attend as many of these events as possible. And we have astronomy on tap and different events out here that Keck and a few of the observatories put on. And yeah, just here to learn.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Kuman Pathodia, if you wanted to unmute and introduce yourself, please.
My name is Kumar Patodia.
Where are you connecting from, Kuman? Kuman, which part of the world are you connecting from? We can't hear you. So Eric, Elisa, and Sangsun, it's in and out of clouds, is it?
It's yeah, there's been some high level cirrus.
See.
And so, but you know, it's right now it seems to be holding steady.
Okay. And you've got a science frame on the galaxy already?
Yeah, we have one science frame. We're on our first sky position.
Got you.
And so the idea being what we're looking at is so faint, it's actually fainter than the sky, than the brightness of the sky. So we have to take, we take an exposure on the galaxy, and then we go off to take a picture, like an exposure on this, just a blank sky. And then, if we subtract one from the other, we in principle should be left with just the galaxy. But it's something that we're not really going to be able to see until we get all the data and process it. This galaxy is really faint.
Which UDG is being targeted tonight?
It is 19, UDG 19. I can.
Yeah, do you have an image of it?
Sangsun, do you have your paper more easily accessible to show an image of it?
Is it from Sangsun's paper, Elisa's paper, or is it in both?
It's in both.
It's okay.
Both, yeah. I can easily access, but it's different laptop, so I can.
Different laptop. Okay, yeah. Let me see if I can get it.
I should be able to bring it up also. Let me see. UDG 19, you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew, if you want to take a moment to introduce yourself, please feel free. I see it. Yeah. Okay. I've got it up on my screen.
Hi, g'day. I'm from Tasmania, Australia, and just sort of a general space enthusiast. Do some backyard astronomy. Also on the committee for the Tasmanian Astronomical Society. So I've joined that group just to improve my knowledge a bit of astronomy, and also to coordinate activities in the northwest of our state. And my main employment background's been mining automation over the last 20 years.
See. Wonderful. One of my former colleagues from the University of California, Santa Cruz, a postdoc from our university, is now on the faculty at the University of Tasmania. So she joined about a year and a half ago, I think.
Okay,
The other famous Tasmanian I know is Ricky Ponting.
Yes, he's not bad Tasmanian, is he?
No, he's probably, is he the most famous Tasman around living?
Oh, living, yeah. David Boone wouldn't be too far behind him.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. Both from Launceston in the northeast as well.
I see. Big mustache for David Boone, I remember.
Yeah. I'm not sure what he's better known for, his opening batting or his drinking habits. was it 52 cans from Sydney to London in a single flight.
Bunting was the punter was not just an amazing batsman, but what a great fielder.
Yeah, fielder, and he's not a bad golfer either. He plays off a 1 or 2 handicap.
I see. Wow, that's very good. Well, welcome to our shadow session. And you've been on other shadow sessions before, right, Andrew?
I have, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, I will have to be subbing now a little bit. So I apologise for that. It's just after 5 p.m. here, so sort of like kids coming home from sport and dinner time and a few things. But
Of course.
yeah, if you see my if I mute my video, it's because I'm probably in the kitchen.
No problem, no problem. And you probably noticed that Shadow the Scientist has expanded beyond astronomy, and we have a whole bunch of sessions coming up, some in forest ecology, and there have been sessions in climatology, paleoclimatology,
Thank
so
you.
digging into the ocean floor and stuff like that. So
Yep.
we're soon going to bring in volcano scientists. I think Jamaica's working on that right now.
Excellent.
Hey Raja,
And-
I noticed that I cannot share my screen.
Oh no, let me
is-
change that. Let me give you. Sorry about that. Eric, please try again now. I'll do the same for Elisa. I'll make you guys co-hosts, and same for Sangsoon.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
Good scan script. It's got a capital S for StarText. And
Sangsoon, what time is it for you now?
It's 4 p.m. now. Yeah.
Okay. Not too different from Australia then.
Yeah, it's 1 hour.
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah, I'm just gonna make it lowercase.
Very different latitudes.
Yeah, very different.
As it currently exists.
Let's see
Oh
here.
wow.
Can you see
I'll just change it now.
these images here of galaxies from the paper? I don't know what you're looking at.
Oh, we're looking at your screen. We're looking at a screen that's at an angle. So
At an angle?
yeah, now it's square. I think that might
The
have just
frequency
been
of the red one.
Oh, you're seeing that. How do I switch to? So I do this. Okay, wait. Sorry. I just wanted to. Here we go. Let me try this. Okay, can you see this now?
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
This is from Sangsoon's paper, right?
This is Sangsoon's paper. And these are all ultra-diffuse galaxies, UDG, and they're all very creatively named, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And they're very faint and diffuse, but they appear to have, at least a number of them appear to have a lot of dark matter in them at this very moment. We're, well, not quite on this galaxy, but tonight we're studying this one, NGVS UDG 19.
Wow.
And
Number 26 looks so much like a spiral galaxy.
this one is probably not like the others in that it's defined as a UDG. I don't know, Sangsoon, you can probably explain better why this one got selected, since it's a bit higher surface brightness than the rest.
That 1 and 9 seem to be higher surface brightness, although there's no good points of reference for the surface brightness necessarily. Sorry, Sangsoon, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing, this one looks brighter than others, but still is much fainter than normal galaxies, because
I see.
we are trying to show the faint picture. So this one is, the 26 is a little different. It's brighter than others, definitely. And but because it's a little different with the other galaxies with a similar luminosity, so we select this one. But yeah, finally we think it's a little different with other UDGs here.
I see.
So we are reading already, so we can move right to the next target. Yeah.
if we're reading out, then yeah, we can.
Both of them. I
we-
think that we can go back, right?
Yeah, I think we can go back to the galaxy.
Good. So Heather, please, if we can go back to object 9, I highlighted already in the slides.
Okay, so we just finished the readout for the sky position. We're moving back to the galaxy. And let me see if I can share the controls here. Why am I seem to be having some issue finding it on the, wait, sorry. I'll stop my share.
Actually, my VNC was disappeared.
Okay, so this is the control for the, so we're taking spectra, and we have a spectrograph. We have two sides to the spectrograph, a blue side and a red side. So the blue side takes the blue part of the spectrum, and the red side, the red part. And so they're controlled separately. So this is the blue side. Well, if I do that, then you can't see. Okay, so let me see if I can just share this desktop.
Okay, we're here again, but again, I don't really see your target, so I'm just gonna send it to KCWI. Okay, thank you. So, Peggy, we're gonna start exposure. Okay.
So you should be able to see.
So go ahead.
Okay. So are we doing same exposure times, right? 300 times 4 on the red side?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, did you get it? All right, great, thanks. So you can see this is the, well, it's helpfully colored red for the red side here. And you can see that we just set the exposure to be 4 exposures of 300 seconds. And the progress is already, the progress bar is just showing you, how much for this exposure you've done already. This image over here on the left side is what one of these images looks like when it reads out. We're actually taking a bunch of spectra across a small field of view. These lines that, if I zoom in here, all these little vertical lines here are lines from our sky, the Earth sky. These sort of zigzaggy, crooked lines, these are all cosmic rays that have hit our detector. And actually, this detector is so sensitive that it's actually very sensitive to cosmic rays as well. We are limited to taking exposures of no longer than 5 minutes because otherwise we get overwhelmed by these cosmic rays, which is why we split it into 4 exposures at 300 seconds. And then if I go to the blue side, you can see on the blue side, we don't get nearly as many of those cosmic rays. And we're taking 1 exposure of 1,320 seconds. And so we've sort of timed them to finish around the same time.
Eric, it's interesting. I was noticing that the red side is called KCWI red, not KCRM, huh?
Yeah, I think, well, the KCRM is, yeah, KCRM is just the, what was it, the Keck cosmic reionization mapper. I think that's what
reionization mapper, yeah, but it's the other one's called cosmic web imager.
Web imager, yeah. I think that was more of a branding exercise for funding, is my understanding.
I see.
They're
really red and blue sides of the same instrument.
Yeah, the red and blue sides of the same instrument. Let's see.
So I see this in the screen that's marked SAO image auto display. I see this thing that's this beautiful in the middle of the spectrum, this beautiful, what looks like an accordion pattern. And I remember that That's at 8660, that particular set of night sky emission lines. So we're really looking pretty far in the red. So this is going from wavelength increasing to the right, I assume?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, okay. Yeah, the center, that dark band in the middle of that accordion, that's at about 8660.
Mm.
The third calcium triplet line tends to land in the middle of that at 0 redshift.
And let's see if I can find. This is. Oh. Yes. You sure? Your desktop one. Here we go. So you should be seeing. Are you seeing the tel status window?
We are seeing the tel status window.
Yeah.
We're seeing FACSUM in the upper right, the
Mhm.
XMET in the lower right, and the magic.
Yeah, so this is just sort of giving you an idea of what the telescope, where the telescope is pointed, and the status. Here you can see the telescope is tracking. We're guiding. Everything's green, is good. And the weather, the sort of local conditions, temperature and humidity. So it's the humidity is good. It's dry. There's no chance of fog or anything like that tonight. But we do have, let's see, it's not too bad actually. Yeah, so you can see this is the sort of the measure. I'm gonna do the counts here. Oh, I don't like to see noise. So this is we have one star that we're monitoring that we're using to guide. So it's a brighter star near our target. There's a camera on it, taking exposures every 10 seconds or so, just to make sure we're centered on the telescope centered on the target and is tracking well. If there are no clouds, then this line should be basically flat. This little peak here is because we went from the sky position tracking one star, and then we moved, and now we're guiding on another star. But the fact that this guiding star has flux, the counts that we get from it every 10 seconds kind of wiggle up and down, that's a sign that that there are clouds, and that, where the clouds are blocking some of the light of the star sometimes. But this is not too bad.
And Eric, given that the signal to noise looks like it's several hundred, like close to 300 or something like that, given that it shouldn't be fluctuating. I see what you mean about clouds.
Yeah, I mean, it's not affecting the guiding, but it's a way of knowing that the sky's not perfectly clear.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what there's the blue side. This is just the guide camera, which we did not take a picture of anything in particular. But if we wanted to, if we wanted to check that we were pointed where we thought we were pointed, we could take a picture and check that here. So we're just going to, we have a half night, the first half of the night. And we're just going to be taking exposures of this galaxy and then the sky position. We're going to go back and forth. For every 2 galaxy exposures, we'll take 1 sky exposure of the same length. So about 2/3 of our time are on our target. And we will just keep doing that until time runs out on us tonight. Or, if the weather holds out, we'll just keep doing that until the middle of the night.
It'll be object, sky, object, object, sky, object, like that kind of sequence.
Yes, that's right. one thing you can notice, like say in this image here, this is the red side. You can see all these vertical skylines, and the blue side, they're not nearly as many. A lot of the sky emission that we see is in the red, although starting at about what time we said it was, like 10:30, 10 something local
Get
time
some
in
moonlight?
Hawaii, we'll get some moon, and the moonlight tends to be bluer, just like this, sun scatters blue light. The sunlight that gets scattered is blue, so our sky's blue. If the sky's illuminated by the moon, it'll also be blue.
Roughly what wavelength range are we looking at on the blue side?
The blue side is okay, so we're probably looking at H beta to, I think it's about 4,800 to 5,200.
Oh, okay. So that's that line that we're seeing, the night sky line we're seeing is not 5577, then something else.
No. I think maybe we go slightly bluer to 5,200. So this bright line here might be the kind of, there's a skyline around 5,200.
Yes, there is a skyline around 52.
Looks like it's there too here.
I wonder if that's the magnesium triplet from the, because the sun doesn't have, I mean, the Earth's atmosphere doesn't glow.
No, it shouldn't.
No. I wonder if we can, do we see 55, is it, it's not contiguous wavelength coverage between blue and red, right? We get a chunk on the blue and the chunk on the red.
Right, well, because we have,
But this
which
is the
grading
medium
are we using?
resolution.
We're using the medium resolution grading, so I
Medium
don't think
resolution,
we
yeah,
don't have the
okay.
full wavelength range.
Gotcha. True.
And usually nowadays the dichroic is right at 5577.
Oh, okay.
Right. I mean, that's kind of a logical place to put it because no one really is going to be observing around there anyway.
Yeah, makes sense.
And when I said a dichroic, the dichroic is an optical element that splits the light between the red and the blue side. So it'll reflect one way for one half of the spectrum, and then the other half will go through. I think, is it the blue side that gets reflected out?
Yeah,
and then,
the blue side gets reflected, the red side goes
and
through.
the red side goes through, yeah.
No, and 5577 has really been in the news recently because of all the auroral, the northern lights that people have been seeing. The main green that you see is 5577 from oxygen 1.
Just finished our second exposure of 4. So here we can see exposure finished, and we're reading out this this second exposure. And this will change, this will update pretty soon. And I think the only thing that'll change is that the cosmic rays will be in different places. Yep, here we go. Well, skyline should stay the same, but then we have a whole new batch of cosmic rays. One of them is pretty long here.
Very long. That must be grazing incidents of some sort.
So one of the questions here is the red light from ground sources. So the red side of the spectrograph for all this, what we call sky emission, is actually from the atmosphere itself. So it's molecules in the atmosphere that the air itself emits light, right? It's excited during the day, and then during the evening, the molecules transition back to the ground state, and they emit light at these wavelengths. So this is not light pollution that we're seeing. It's not light from the ground. I don't know if anyone has any other things they want to say or any questions, or we could just all sit here and stare at the progress bar, which is what we do.
I did have a question for Elisa about the M81 dwarfs. Thank you for sending that along to Shreyanshi. One of the things I wanted to do with something we haven't done before, but I've been meaning to do is, do we have HST images and catalogs of the, was the target selection done from HST?
Yes.
Okay.
All of them are from Angst, from Julian Dalcanton's
Okay.
survey. They are all published in the 2009 paper.
The catalogs are also?
Yeah, they are all in MUST.
Okay, images and catalogs, okay. Because it would be interesting, even though we targeted them using HST, it would be interesting to ask, some of those targets will have higher contrast than others. If you have two equal brightness objects, but one of them is surrounded by neighbors, or one of them is blended with neighbors, then it will look brighter at ground-based resolution than others. And I was hoping to take the HST catalog and do that calculation and see if that indeed correlates with the continuum level we see.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that should all be available on MUST. I'll ask Shreyanshi to dig into this. We may ping you with questions in case there are the 3 galaxies, right, that you should be doing this for.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Everything is from Angst then. Okay.
Yeah, the 3 of them. Yeah.
And was it Kristen Chivukas who was involved in the CMD work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the previous one that we published already, that was from Kristen's catalog.
Got you.
Yeah.
But the
and
next 3 have
then,
come from Angst.
yeah, so we got one more was our next target, but yeah, the weather was never good enough. So
I see.
these 3 that we observed were brighter, so they had many more brighter stars, so that we could secure a velocity.
And she should be putting the demo spectra through pipette probably, right? Is that what she should be
Yeah, I
doing?
sent you, some of them are reduced already, and I gave you the path. One is halfway through, and the other is not reduced, if I remember correctly.
But one of them at least seems to have gone through Spectro-D just fine.
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, it looks like our guide star flux has been.
That's terrible.
This looks pretty. Like it was fairly constant for a while, and then the signal to noise went down.
It looked really good there for a while.
Yeah.
I guess it's not very long. Those are 2 minutes between white lines.
Yes, 2 minutes. Yeah.
Looked like there was about a 3-minute chunk there where things looked quite good.
Yeah. I just don't know what's going to look like with clouds with something so low surface brightness. We just finished another readout. All right.
There's sort of a finger of light in the lower right part of Magic that I don't remember.
This thing here, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, okay. And if it's some kind of internal reflection. Because that's not seeing the sky, right? The circular part is seeing sky.
I think that's right, yeah.
And the dark patch in the middle is the pickoff for, that's where the science data are going in, right? I guess it's some kind of annulus guiding.
Yeah. I don't know. Cirrus like this, I feel like it's gonna make sky subtraction just really difficult.
Super difficult. You'll have to use some kind of arbitrary scaling.
Mm-hmm.
I guess when you have, depending on the height of the clouds, you may not get the full extent of the air glow in the sky spectrum or in the science spectrum when there are clouds, right?
I mean, also not to mention that the signal in the target is going to be really low,
which is what we're after.
Because if you, oh, here, it just finally cleared the range. So yeah, I mean, we started out, it looks like the guide star should be at a signal to noise of 400, but then it dipped down to nearly 0 in some areas. And, you know, so that's a pretty large loss of signal.
Yeah.
Let's see, it counts.
Although only for a few minutes, it looks like.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 10 minutes.
Sometimes it's just better not to know.
Yeah, sometimes better not to know. Yeah.
This is one of our brighter ones, isn't it? Or is it not, Elisa?
No, it is not.
It's not. Okay, so we didn't start with one of the bright. That's right. Oh yeah, the surface brightness is like 26.6
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
So we had 4 targets for this program. One is very bright, and that we started, but also like this with lots of clouds. So we only got like 20 minutes, and we're gonna need more. But then we have 2 intermediate surface brightnesses, and this one is one of them, and then one more fainter, I think. So we started with the intermediate ones, which are already insane. So
yeah.
yeah, so we are talking here like we know that if there were no clouds, this will all work out. And the truth is that we have no idea. So this is a test for the telescope and for the instrument, and we are really crossing our fingers that this will work, because up to our to the extent of our knowledge, with this kind of extremely faint objects like this one have not been observed. So they have been brighter, and the ones that have been observed like this, only 1 or 2, I believe, they integrated way longer, because it was the very early days of this instrument. So we hope that it works out, but we don't know yet. Yeah, so we are about to hit the button to continue exposing.
So are we going to move to this? Oh no, we're
No,
going to
we
just do it
did
again.
object, sky, object. So now we repeat object.
Yeah, that's right.
So do we have to wait for the readout to finish, or we can observe already?
I don't think you can't start a new exposure before we read out.
Yeah, I guess that the question is if it will wait or it will.
Oh, you mean when we should push the button?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's not mess with it.
So let's do it now that it is
Yeah, let's
red
do it
then.
now.
Okay.
Okay. Both red side done.
Yeah, blue too.
Okay. So I can't remember. Sung-Soon, are you going to be on for the June half night that we have coming up next week?
Major problem is that is holiday here, so.
Oh, it's a holiday in Korea. Oh, okay.
I should be there, so.
Okay, because I know I will not be there, and Elisa, you will need some observing support. Because I don't think so. We should arrange that anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was a shadow session scheduled then either, but then Raja, that's for you to figure out.
Yes, I will definitely make sure my old laptop is running and running VNC.
Okay.
I cannot be the full day, but I think I can join sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I just see a question in the chat. But what we are trying to do, Eric asks, is there a specific set of objectives you wish to accomplish with this observation, i.e. validate a published theory as to why the galaxies are diffuse or something? So Elisa, maybe since, this whole proposal is coming off of your paper, maybe you can explain.
Sure. So in the paper that Raja was sharing before, we found that about half of the sample had a huge amount of dark matter, so much dark matter that not even current models of galaxy formation can reproduce it. So if that is true, then we need new physics to understand what is going on with these galaxies. So because every time that you measure dark matter, it's an indirect measurement. So it's not like when we are measuring stars that we can see them. So we infer how much dark matter a galaxy has from the motion of objects in it. So in this particular paper, we used globular clusters that are pretty much balls that contain like around 1 million of stars altogether. So we use several of them to measure their motion around the center of the galaxy, and with that calculate how much matter in total is expected for that amount of motion. And because we know how much light we can see, then you subtract the light from the total, and what remains is the dark matter. But all of these mechanisms to measure anything that is inferred and is not a direct measurement have their own caveats. So because the result is so extraordinary, we need a confirmation with a completely different method. So that's why that's basically what we are doing here today. So we are trying to confirm that amount of dark matter, measuring now instead of the motion of these globular clusters. So instead of the motion of these collections of about between 100,000 to 1 million of stars that are very tightly gravitationally bound, we are going to use the brightness of the galaxy, which means that we are measuring the motion of the stars. So that is the goal number one, to check the amount of dark matter in these galaxies with a completely different and independent method from which we have already published. So to try to confirm if this amount of dark matter is there, or if there is something about the motion of the globular clusters that we are just not understanding and not taking into account, and that is why we are getting a value that is not consistent with the measured from the brightness of the stars. So that is the main goal, but we have a secondary goal also, and is that these diffuse galaxies have been very recently discovered, so we do not know much about them. So what we are going to try to get is also their stellar populations. So that means the content of the stars that are making up these galaxies. So are these stars very old? Are these stars full of metals, or they do not have metals? So all of these characteristics tell us about the story of the galaxy. So how were they formed and how they have evolved. So we are hoping that we get enough signal to be able to measure these stellar populations, and that is something that we are not sure we can do because it has not been done before for these very extreme low surface brightness objects. So that's basically it. So we have basically two goals for this project. One is to validate or find that it's different, the amount of dark matter that we measured before. And on the other hand, we are trying to see what is the stellar content of these galaxies to learn about their story. So how were they formed and evolved.
Well, thank you so much for your description, Dr. Tolba.
No,
appreciate that.
Sure, no problem.
That's very enlightening. Appreciate that.
Oh, sure.
I'm going to show what we're looking at up here. This is here a time lapse of a camera on the summit looking at the Keck telescopes. And it's a time lapse over the past hour or so. Can you guys see this animation here?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. This is, I guess, from the Subaru catwalk. I can never remember which one of these is Keck 1 and which one is Keck 2. We're using one of these telescopes. So, but you can also see in the background the clouds. Another one here is looking at the Gemini telescope. So when we see the guide star flux go jump up and down, it's because this is what's going over us. See what the all sky looks like here.
That's from Subaru?
This is the Subaru, the all sky camera that's just
Wow.
outside Subaru, I guess.
Beautiful. You know, you can see the structure in the clouds is probably related to the ringing we are seeing in the signal to noise. So we're going some kind of periodicity, or not periodicity, some kind of scale on which it varies.
Yeah. You can see the stars moving across the sky as as time goes on.
Okay. Rob says Keck is on the right.
Keck is on the left here, right?
Oh, sorry. Keck 1 is on the right. Rob wrote something in the chat.
Ah, okay. Well, we're using Keck 2.
Yeah, so in that earlier image, I think.
Yeah. I was gonna guess it was Keck 2 is that one because we're using it and it's slow, it's smoothly slewing in.
Yeah, the other one is bouncing around.
Well, anyway, that's what our clouds situation looks like.